Baylor at Cincinnati, man. Cincinnati favored by 4.5. Here's the dichotomies here. You got a Cincinnati team that is humming on offense. And can we say, I'll say it. I'm not afraid to say it. Is this offensive line the most underrated unit in the entire country? Is it the most underrated group in the entire country? They're playing lights out. All right. And I get that you're not necessarily in a conference, all right, where you get to highlight all of that talent week to week against superstars, but boy, are they playing well right now. They can run the football. Brendan Sorsby is dealing. All right. Defensive line doesn't look half bad either. The secondary is still a problem, right? And that is where Baylor's going to come in. Michael Trigg, Kobe Wilson, Josh Cameron, right? Ashton Hawkins, like these guys, it is a unit. And I get that Sawyer Robertson. If you say like, oh, Sawyer Robertson leads the country in passing yards, right? The guy who's going to come out with this quip would be like, but he's also throwing the most passes. It's like, yeah, okay, sure. What would you do in that situation when you have like one of the best receiving groups in the entire country and a quarterback that's able to half decently get them the football? And you're playing from behind a lot of the time because your defense stinks. So yeah, I think this is a really interesting matchup. A Cincinnati offense that should shred Baylor's defense. But then the Cincinnati secondary that is very gettable against a Baylor receiving unit, Baylor's group of pass catchers, I should say, because you got to include Michael Trigg there, and Bryson Washington's also good at running back there. Yeah, I think this is a great matchup. 4.5 is a very respectable line in this.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting. You also have, like, if you're Cincinnati defensively, you have to get after Sawyer Robertson. Don't put your defensive backs, in positions to get got. And you've been okay, I think. You're about middle of the pack in the Big 12 and getting after the quarterback. On the other hand, we talked about, you opened this with Cincinnati and their offensive line playing well. Baylor is one of the worst, tied for the worst team in the Big 12 in sacks. Now, I know sacks might be misleading stat, all that kind of good stuff, but it has not been good for them in any kind of facet defensively, and that's probably not going to change with the offensive line. And the offense in the way Sorsby and a couple running backs they got there in Cincinnati and the way they're running the football. So that's going to be really interesting to see. As for Baylor offensively, it was really interesting kind of what transpired in that game last week. You kind of roar back. You kind of wake up in that second half. Couple weird, weather delays. Obviously, we know the talent that Ashton Hawkins, Josh Cameron, Trigg, Cole Wilson, Kobe Prentice. I mean, the list goes on and on. Of course, Sawyer Robertson, who has to take care of the football this week if you want to win this game on the road. But rushing, like we talked about Bryson Washington, he's one of the better backs in the Big 12. He fumbled early in that game, and he kind of got the boot. Like, you had a couple true freshmen coming in, Michael Turner, Caden Knighton, freshmen playing good football for you. That was a nice revelation there for Baylor. You get to spell Washington a little bit. You get to spell Sawyer Robertson. Now, I know offensively that has not been the issue. It has been stopping anything that breathes defensively, and that's going to be a challenge this week as well. Going to be a fired-up Nippert Stadium. You've got some really good players on both sides of the ball. Jake Golday for Cincinnati, the way they move him around is a lot of fun to watch as well. Listen, I like Cincinnati here in this spot. I thought about making it one of my best bets. I'm going to stay away from the spread in this game, although I do like potentially an over, and more specifically a team over in this spot. So stay tuned for that. But yeah, Cincinnati minus 4.5 in a massive game, in a spot where they still are absolutely there. I mean, especially with Arizona State losing 2 weeks ago, Texas Tech losing last week, Houston has a loss. Cincinnati is looking at the rest of their schedule, and they got some tough ones, no doubt. Utah on the road, BYU, Arizona, TCU, those are all playing well as well. Like, we kind of circled the schedule at times throughout the year, and
doable.
It's doable, but it's the second half is where it really picked up. So they got their 6-win, 6-1 right now. They got to finish, but they are playing like one of the better teams, not only in the Big 12, but obviously the country as well. So a lot of fun here.
And that was an issue last year. Finishing in the month of October and November. Finish. I'll be with you here. Cincy minus 4.5. I don't feel as good about it though, right? Dude, something about Baylor, man, and Sawyer Robertson. Like, if you're in the game with Baylor in the fourth quarter, that is a problem. That is a huge problem. Now, get Evan Pryor going. Get him going early. I mean, dude, he's in that tier with, like, Dylan Riley, Isaac Brown, Robert Henry Jr. Like, he's averaging like 7.8 yards per carry. He's nuts. Oh, and then your change of pace / bruiser guy, just Tawi Walker. Like, what? Like, that's crazy. What a nutty backfield, right? For a team that, and a coaching staff that you and I have grilled over these last years, but playing really good football right now. Yeah, I'll lay him minus 4.5. Not feel good about it. Yeah, the over was definitely on the table for me as well, but I decided to stay away from that one. It's a pretty high number. But loving I'm loving watching Cincinnati football be good. I'm loving just like think about the teams that joined the Big 12 recently, CD. Look where those teams are at right now. I'm not talking about these Pac-12 teams. I'm talking about the G5 teams. I'm talking about the BYUs, the Cincinnatis, the Houstons, the UCFs. I mean, their combined record right now is ridiculous. Houston 6-1, Cincinnati 6-1, BYU undefeated. What, UCF is 4-3 or something like that? They're a pretty respectable record. I don't have their record off the top of my head right now, but they're a pretty respectable team right now. Yeah, 4-3. Wild that we're here right now, because I think there were a lot of doubters about some of those coaches, a lot of doubters about some of those programs and what they were going to do in the Big 12. But the reality is, like, yeah, the level of resources at the Cincinnatis and the Houstons and the BYUs and the UCFs are like pretty on par with a lot of the Big 12. So, yeah, while that first year, right, those teams struggled pretty significantly, like, yeah, I think they've arrived. I think we can safely say that, like, in this new Big 12, we are very comfortable with the competitiveness of this conference being retained, as it once was, right? As it always has been. The most competitive conference in college football.
Conference quarterbacks too, man. I mean, Sorsby and Robertson. What a matchup we have here. Sorsby outside that one throw against Nebraska. One throw has been so good at being efficient and taking care of the football. He has one interception on the year. Of course, it was that Nebraska one. That was crushing. I will give you that. But it was 17 touchdowns on the year, just that one interception. You cannot be giving freebies to this Baylor defense. You cannot. And on the flip side, I understand that's where Robertson throws the ball, about 100 times, half 100 times a game for Baylor. But you have to be opportunistic with your defense. He has about a turnover a game is what he's averaging. So you kind of got to take advantage of that as well. But yeah, Cincinnati, back to your point there, they have done such a good job in the transfer portal and in backfilling offensive line, all the playmakers right now. It seems like, of course, Sorsby is in front of all that defensively, trying to piece together a defense for you to run your 3-3-5 with. I mean, you just got to give him a ton of credit, an absolute ton of credit. And this is a huge one. This is absolutely a huge one for the Big 12. Yeah, I just love it here.